Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing the new Battle Rush seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which we have just 8 seconds to take our turn and 15 seconds to choose our cards in between rounds. That means everything needs to be lightning fast, and today we're playing a popular deck for this event that just got even stronger. So let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Scoia'Tael Mahakam Forged Dwarves deck, as we've done many times before for this event. However, this time around, we have some new cards that we can add to the deck to make it a little more exciting and a little more effective. So we have things like Zoltan Warrior, good damage, and an engine as well. Brouver, probably the single best engine in this deck, and we have ways to flood our board with tons of dwarves with armor in them, so you want to do that relatively quickly so you can get a lot of value from Brouver. Mahakam Pass is one of the new cards, so you can get a dwarf and give it a whole bunch of armor, which there are some synergies there for sure, and then also you can use the order for tempering, and with resilience you can potentially wait and save that order for a later round. Then we have some thinning from Roach, since we don't usually have time for any tutors in this event, so it's a way to get some consistency while still keeping things relatively quick. Figgis, mostly here as a defender to protect stuff like Brouver, but you could actually swap this out for another card if you'd like to. It's not absolutely necessary. There is a little bit more resilience you could have if you add Gabor instead of Figgis, but I think that's overkill because we have lots more sources of resilience that we'll talk about in just a minute, including base Zoltan. Then we have Zoltan Scoundrel. This is a finisher for either damage or boost, depending on which row you play him. Best Boy, more thinning, more consistency. Then Eudora is another one of the new cards. This is another way we get more thinning and consistency, and we do have all 3 Zoltans in our starting deck, which means she'll be worth 5 points, and she automatically gets immediately removed from our deck at the start of the game. Don't have to even worry about accidentally drawing into her either, so great, especially in an event like this where everything needs to be quick. Dennis, a finisher, if you can load up on a bunch of armor on 1 unit in particular, or 2 units in particular. Xavier could be a unit that gets a lot of armor, also an early round engine for you. Zoltan's Company, this is probably the best way to combine with Brouver, because since we have all those Zoltans, we have a ton of Rowdy Dwarves that we create in a row, and since they will have armor, lots of stuff for Brouver to boost up. Barclay, another finisher for when you have a lot of dwarves with a lot of armor. Giantslayer, another way we can potentially get resilience. So best in early rounds when that resilience is relevant, although even in later rounds, it is still 1 point of damage per turn, so not bad in that case either. Mahakam Volunteers, more thinning. You want to be mindful of not having both copies in your hand simultaneously. Agitator, early round, helps you build up more armor. Mahakam Defender, early round boosting engine. Dwarf Berserker, early round damaging engine. Mahakam Guard, finisher for when you have a whole bunch of dwarves in a row. And that is that. Overall, the deck is designed to play very quickly and require minimal orders and clicks. That way, you can not have to worry about having to make a bunch of complicated decisions or target specific units with all of your stuff and risk running out of time and accidentally targeting the wrong thing or not being able to take your turn at all, making this deck particularly useful in this event. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Skellige here, and we'll go first. And we're mostly just looking to keep the cards that need to be in our deck, things like Roach and Best Boy. And then, other than that, we look fine here. I'm a little concerned about this Reckless Flurry, because that can go through armor. But let's start off with, what do we have for engines here? Mahakam Defender. Okay, long ship. Don't love, for a few reasons. But I think Agitator can be a big deal. Would have preferred to put it in the melee row there, but this gives us more armor. Didn't have time to pick which cards to put the armor on in our hand, but now the long ship does not threaten to immediately remove armor on every dwarf we have. That is unfortunate, though, because I was probably about to hit you. Okay, so what if we go... Could go Giantslayer. Obviously, it means you're going to get boosted a lot. I think we still have to live with that. I also wasn't thrilled about playing Mahakam Pass in round 1. Obviously, it gives us some lead defense if they end up winning and they want to push in the next round. But, okay. I'm also not thrilled about this, but I'll do it anyway. Now, we should get the resilience there, so that's nice. We might only look to take one more turn here. We could go Mahakam Guard and just throw him down in that row and use stratagem, call it a day. And if we are to do that, I guess we'll boost you just in case they are going to try to remove our resilience unit. We'll try to keep this order ability. We'll keep, yeah. Okay, we're going to pass here. That way we still have the potential to use one throwaway card in round 2 and use that order. Which could be significant if we get resilience, or we could just go for thinning on Mahakam Volunteers. I mean, that's not terrible. It's not really the value I was looking for, but might settle for that. And since we have Mahakam Volunteers in hand, I don't really want to use any mulligans here. Otherwise, we run the risk of drawing to the other one. So let's just do this, and we'll do this. So at the very least, it's some tempo. They have 2 cards to try to catch us. I imagine they can probably still do it, but we'll see. I don't really think we want to be going any further in this round. Yes, we could use Giantslayer on one of you guys, potentially get more resilience. Maybe we have a large enough lead that we can take that risk, but this is definitely just that. It is a risk. Because now it is possible that they might be able to catch us relatively quickly, and we might be at card disadvantage in round 3. Did see some movement in their hand that, granted, I wasn't paying close enough attention to before, but it must be a Sunset Wanderers. Who is getting the death blow here? You are. Not us. That stinks. That was kind of clever. I think we do pass here. Otherwise, we were going to probably go Mahakam Guard. Could have been a mini point slam. But at least it's not as if they had so much tempo. In fact, they had very little tempo. Okay. Well, leader ability, still not enough here. They are going to need to go cards down in round 3. So, all right. Turns out, yes, our round 2 bleed was successful, at least in that sense. Okay, but this Zoltan, for example, would have been the key card we'd be looking for as our throwaway in round 2. Still has some value, because we can get the Eudora out there as well, although, to be honest, not thrilled about that. I think we're probably looking at keeping what we have here, though. We do sell a Brouver. We have things like Zoltan's Company that can really help Brouver. Given their leader ability, though, I am concerned. I think we probably do still go Figgis first. Just to play it a little bit on the safe side. Ray's Blessing probably for, oh no, Solid Priest? Okay, I was expecting for it to be a boat. There's the huge Sunset Wanderers, up to 13. That's the other thing. If we bled further around, we might have been able to bleed that out eventually. But Brouver, let's use you. Obviously not a lot of stuff for him to boost right now, but we will get some things out there very soon with stuff like Zoltan's Company is actually the most efficient way to do that. Dow, okay. Well, if you move both of them with multiple rock barrages, or we could just do this. It is convenient sometimes. That movement order. So there we go. Now we have lots of stuff for Brouver to boost up. We do have other engines still, yes, but they weren't as effective as Brouver, so wanted to prioritize that. And this is an occasion where the Reckless Flurry actually is good for us, because that means that it's not removing the armor, which is actually more valuable than the base points is, at least this early on in the round when we're trying to maximize the Brouver boost. Okay, they get rid of our Defender. That is unfortunate. So we don't really know to what extent they might have additional control to stop Brouver. But at this point, he's already had a few turns with a lot of boosts, so that much is good. And then I think we might be looking at Mahakam Guard in this big row. Lots of stuff in it. And then Berserker is an engine, yes, but was just not a super high priority engine. Put him in the other row, and then we'll put, I guess, Zoltan. Well, okay then. We'll go here. We'll go here. On Brouver, if we have time. Not a lot of stuff for him to boost up at this point, but that's why we tried to get him out early. Skirmisher from hand is not exactly going to do much. Okay, but we are tied. I mean, okay. Play. Yes, you should play. Now we should be fine. No Zoltan necessary. Alright, so going up against monsters here. And we'll go first. And we're mostly just looking to keep cards out of our hand that we want to keep in our deck, like Roach, so definitely mulligan that out. And then, I think other than that, we are fine here. This should work. So, Xavier, good early round play. Why don't we start with you? That'll get out Roach. And we'll try to load up on the Dwarves in the melee row. That way, if we want to use Mahakam Guard as a finisher, we can. Now, the fog could get a little annoying, but let's go with Defender. Now, at least, Best Boy would be the one to take the hit from the fog if they are to activate it here, which is nice, because that way we keep the armor on the guys that need the armor. At least for a little bit. Now, we could go for another Defender if we want to. Okay, Rot Fiend, that can deal a lot of damage if they consume that, and presumably they will. Okay, I think now, let's go maybe Berserker. And that way, this will be the lowest card. This will be the one that gets hit by the fog, which I think is probably still best. And I'm hesitant to do things like Giantslayer. So I think maybe we'll even go that. And then this might be the last turn that we take in this round. So we have a pretty huge lead right now. So not really sure we need to go much further, although getting the resilience would be nice on Zoltan. So that is kind of tempting as well. So do we go for it? It's kind of overkill, but sure. Surely, yeah, they'll pass at this point. Fair enough. So yeah, did we need to do that? Maybe not. Yeah, in fact, if we had passed one turn earlier, we could have used that as a throwaway card in round 2, and that would have been perfect. So that's really what we should have done in that circumstance. But our hand is looking fine here. Again, no cards we need to keep in our deck. I mean, Giantslayer is maybe a little bit questionable, because again, that's a card which, if we didn't have a whole bunch of Death Wish units that our opponents were playing, we might have used it in round 1, but we didn't exactly want to hit those. And now in round 2, when we're not really looking to play because we played one more card than our opponents already, not the best option for us. We do usually have a lot of resilience, but again, we committed some in round 1, and we had already played one more card than our opponent. So they'll win round 2. Okay, so I'm going to try to get rid of the Giants, or at least one Giantslayer. Technically, it's still 1 point of damage per turn, given how we have a whole bunch of Death Wish cards our opponents are playing. That's still not always a safe thing. Mahakam Volunteers, that's the other card we need to be careful of not getting both copies of in our hands. So since we have one, I won't use our second mulligan, otherwise we risk drawing into the other one. Weavis Incantation. That is a card that is pretty terrifying. So I think we use Giantslayer on you. It's not a lot of damage. It's not going to be enough immediately, but it is something. Okay, but that was... Oof, it's almost enough for us to remove you there. If you hadn't destroyed the Giantslayer, then we would have... Well, there you go. Random damage from Zoltan happens to hit you, 50-50 chance. It works out for us, and that was definitely one of, if not the single most important cards that our opponent had. Lots of big Death Wish cards, for sure, but gonna be a lot harder for them to set those up. Let's get an Agitator down, just because that helps with the armor, which when we put that on Brouver, I think could make a pretty big difference here. And we probably do want to get Brouver down next. Okay, Whispering Hillock, what are they going for? Yep, it was going to be Arrakis Queen. I mean, this is still going to be fairly good. And that is, of course, the best card that could have stolen there. But let's go Brouver now. He'll get a lot of armor. And technically, putting armor on the Agitator with our leader ability might have helped a little bit, but we should probably get Figgis down next in case they have any ideas about trying to stop you. Alright, so they still have some clever Death Wish combos, so you need to be careful. Let's do this. We also would like to get Zoltan's company is really the best way to flood a row with a whole bunch of dwarves. In fact, we might already have enough units in here that we couldn't even fit a full Zoltan's company. They'll go Haunt. I'm surprised they didn't use that earlier. Obviously big for Death Wish. Let's go for you, and I will admit that I did not even count how many units we had in this row. And Dennis, I deliberately put these two next to each other thinking that that would be a good spot to fit in Dennis, but now obviously we don't have room for that. And now Dwarven Agitator as well is kind of a little bit awkward because it's a little bit late for us to be using that. So I think it's going to have to be, let's see, Dwarven Agitator now. Might as well give the armor to these guys. And then I guess we'll leave it at that. I mean, again, using leader ability to put armor on somebody else in this row just so they're still getting boosted by Brouver is not a terrible idea. Well, now we do have room, for what it's worth, to put something over there, like a Dennis, for example. So that is pretty tempting. I think we probably will go that route. Let's go. Make sure we're quick enough here. And then Dennis. That's worth a lot. And then we'll go Volunteers. I mean, on one hand, we'd kind of like to fit them into this row, so we have one more thing getting boosted by Brouver. But unless they have another way to steal one of these guys, I don't think we're going to have room to get both of them. So I think we're just going to have to settle for this. I mean, I guess we could have moved Figgis and then did both the Volunteers, but at that point, is it even worth it? Because you're moving one dwarf to get another. We've already won. We don't need to use Zoltan. Oh, well. Hold on. They still have one more turn, Lids. Don't get too carried away here. Hold on. Zoltan range row, which means boost, which means we should boost all these guys. And now we have one. Don't get ahead of yourself, Lids, but there we go. Mission accomplished. Alright, so going up against Scoia'Tael here. And we'll go first. Okay, and we want to get Roach back into our deck. Other than that, I think we're fine from the standpoint of keeping cards in our deck that need to stay in our deck. We could go Xavier first. Sure, we'll do that. That'll get Roach out. We'll go Percival. He is obviously a big engine. Then we could go Mahakam Defender. I'm not really sure we're going to be able to do much to shut down Percival here, so I think the damage from Dwarf Berserker is not that useful right now. Fledgling, we could hit that. It doesn't have armor, so maybe that makes a little more sense to go for it with Dwarf Berserker. Also got best way out on our previous turn, so we're getting the thinning. And Therian, the problem is, I mean, I want to get a Giantslayer out here, but with all these cards that are going to get boosted very regularly, that is not an easy thing to do. Might even just throw that on somebody. Probably would not have preferred for it to have been the card that was already the tallest on the board in case they do have tall removal, but I think we may potentially look to pass somewhat soon here. Unless, no, tell you what. Okay, well, but you put that... Why'd you have to put the Harmony Infusion on the Deadeye? Otherwise, that would have been our best target for it. That could have been someone that Giantslayer could go after, and that's why I didn't want the random tall boost to go on you. Alright, so that really stinks, because that was not really our fault. They did play one more card than us, though, so they may not look to play that long in this round. Do we have any sources of resilience? Potentially with Giantslayer. Not sure we want double Mahakam Guard, though. Maybe we dump one of you. Mahakam Volunteers, that could give us some thinning. That's not a terrible option. Don't want to accidentally draw into the second one, though. Okay, so Chameleon. Might just be a throwaway, and only that. We'll go Agitator, I think, because it is enough tempo-wise, in case that is all that they're trying to do here, is use it as a throwaway. But it is a valuable card for Harmony purposes. Okay, that is all it is. So in that case, we don't have enough time for the Resilience. Let's just go thinning with Mahakam Volunteers. Okay. And we'll win round 2. Alright, and unfortunately, we missed the vote on our preferred resilience cards like Zoltan, who is not that valuable anymore, so we might even dump you altogether. Barclay, much better. Much better. Okay, I think we can make this work. The Giantslayer can still deal damage for us, so that is still useful. Let's go Zoltan's company first. And we're going to set up this row for probably Brouver on our next turn. That way we get that going nice and early. That is a really big engine for us. Not a bad way to set up Zoltan as well, but let's go Brouver here. Lots of armor. Lots of cards for him to boost, and we know they've already used their Heat Wave. Okay, now, Scenario, obviously, is a really big card for them. And why don't we go Berserker here? That is an engine, and I think next turn we might put Dennis next to these two, just because these are going to be, in all likelihood, the highest armor cards we have. Ovko is annoying because of his damage, potentially removing armor. So I think all the more reason for us to go Dennis now. Also going to want to put a Mahakam Guard. I don't think we have room for a second one there, so that does make it kind of tricky. Unless they move some things, which is possible. Okay, trying to move the armor on you. Let's now break you out, because you are also an engine. Hit you, and we'll hit you. Sure. See if we can get enough dwarves in this row that Mahakam Guard there is also not bad. Cat Witcher, also some damage potential. They're really trying to remove the armor on Brouver, and they're doing a decent job at it. Let's go here, and maybe might be... I don't think we're going to have enough time to destroy you, but it's 1 damage per turn at the very least. Okay, that's what? Last chapter's scenario. Sorceress is valuable for sure. So I'm half tempted to go... Nah, we really can't go melee row with you, I don't think. Alright, so let's just get you down there. I think we're basically out of engines at this point. Just looking at finishers now. Okay, Brouver has run out of armor, so we should use Mahakam Forge on him. He's going to get huge, obviously, but we are just going to have to live with that because they've used their Heat Wave already. I guess we'll go Barclay. I mean, they have enough damage that they've been removing a lot of armor, so Barclay may be a little bit earlier than you might usually like to play him, but I think it might not be a terrible thing. Great Oak, going after maybe Brouver, just get rid of the armor. Not a bad idea. And let's go Zoltan Scoundrel this turn. Obviously, range row means it's going to be for boost, which means we should use it on ourselves. Also, get Eudora out here, and that means Mahakam Guard should still be half decent as a finisher here. But they have last say, so although we do have a somewhat sizable lead, Army certainly in a long round has a lot of potential, and they may very well still be able to catch us here. This could be very close. Brouver is no longer doing his thing, so that is not good news for us. Let's see. We got the resilience. It's Denna. Oh, that is a big finisher. Will it be enough for them, though? It's extremely close. Wow. With tempering as well, we'll hold on for the 1-point win. So there's a look at a Scoia'Tael Dwarves deck for the new Battle Rush seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions we should experiment with next. And take a look at our Battle Rush playlist to see previous decks that we've used in this event as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.